last week on the show, we talked about the Democratic Party's so-called New Deal platform, which in actuality is mediocre at best. But nonetheless, the party, in spite of criticism it's received, they've chosen to stand by it. And in an interview with Chris Wallace on Fox News, Nancy Pelosi tried to explain just how beneficial this better deal actually is. And of course, she brought up the better deal, even though she was asked something entirely different.
The Democratic leader in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, said something interesting the other day, and I want to ask you about it. We're going to put it on the screen. When you lose to somebody who has 40% popularity, you don't blame other things, Comey, Russia, you blame yourself. So what did we do wrong? People didn't know what we stood for, just that we were against Trump, and still believe that. We're going to get to your new agenda in a minute, but I want to ask you the specific question. Do you agree with Senator Schumer that Russia and Comey were not what beat Hillary Clinton?
Well, I think that they had an influence. There's absolutely no question about that. But when you have a campaign, you're responsible for your campaign. I don't even want to go into that. I do want to go into our better deal.
Okay, let me ask you. I'm going to ask you about it because Democrats put out a new agenda this week called a better deal. Let's put some of it up on the screen. You call for higher wages, lower prescription drug costs, as you just said, job training, infrastructure. Leader Pelosi, I'm not saying any of that is wrong.
Right.
What I am saying is that none of it is new. We've been hearing it for years. We heard it from the Democrats and Hillary Clinton in 2016, and you lost.
No, well, we're going to hear it with more clarity. For the first time since 2006, the congressional Democrats are in charge of the message. In 2006, we were in charge, we won. We had a Democratic president after that in 2008, and that time on, a very successful presidency. Now it is our turn to win the Congress for the American people. But elections are more than about winning the election. They're about having a discussion about how we go forward.
But they're all about winning the election. That's what an election.
No, it's about winning on the issues. I mean, in other words, if the American people can hold all of us, Democrats and Republicans, accountable for what is in their interest, instead of a trickle-down agenda that really benefits the high end at the expense of working families. That's why a better deal is important, and it is entrepreneurial and it's thinking, it's fresh.
So Chris Wallace told her that they've said these same things before. Really what they're proposing is nothing new, and, he's right there. But Nancy Pelosi is confident that it's going to work this time because we're going to hear it with more clarity.
Going to hear it with more clarity.
Well, great, because I actually would like some clarity on a number of issues. The first one is single payer. I mean, where does the party stand on Medicare for all?
Well, sure, many things are on the table.
Okay, so that sounds pretty reassuring there. They're not in favor of Medicare for all. So, I mean, this clarity that she's talking about, it sounds great, but I haven't seen it. There's no more clarity. There's still not coming around to the issues that grassroots activists have been pressuring them to come around to. So I just can't see how you're standing by this and you're not listening to the criticisms that we have. I mean, it's a losing strategy. But Nancy Pelosi, she oversaw the Democratic Party's march off of a cliff. So of course she doesn't have, the winning strategy, and she doesn't know anything about clarity and messaging. But I want to talk about one other thing that she said here that was pretty important. So she stated, it's about winning on the issues because it's not about winning. So, in other words, if the American people can hold all of us, Democrats and Republicans, accountable, what is in their interest instead of a trickle-down agenda that really benefits the high end at the expense of working families. That's why a better deal is important. Now, first of all, prior to saying this in the clip, I don't know if you caught it, but she actually implied that Obama's presidency was successful. But seconds later, she then talked about trickle-down economics. Obama did that, Nancy. Obama did just that. Democrats did that. Hillary Clinton argued for trickle-down economics in the midst of her 2016 presidential campaign. So voters know that they've gotten a shitty deal under Democrats, and that's not going to change. Hence why they don't bother to come out and vote for Democrats. But what Nancy Pelosi is doing now is she's trying to convince us that now they're actually going to fight for a better deal for us. And that she wants us to hold them accountable when we've been trying to do that, and they've just been ignoring us. I mean, we want you to support single payer, but you refuse to support single payer. We want you to get on board with tuition-free public colleges and universities, and you refuse to do that. So, I mean, if you want us to hold you accountable, then listen to what we're saying and take what we're saying and internalize it and change based on what we're saying. I mean, all you have to do is look at public opinion polls to see where the country is headed. I mean, we are in favor of legalizing marijuana in all 50 states. We're in favor of Medicare for all, but the party has not full-throatedly endorsed any of these policies. Why not? Oh, it's because their donors don't want them to endorse these policies. So I think it's hilarious that she talks about how she wants us to hold them accountable. But I mean, they've given us every indication that they hate it when we hold them accountable and they don't listen to us. And on this subject of a better deal, the working class didn't get a very good deal under Obama because all of the income gains over the last several years went to the 1%. Now, furthermore, under the Democratic Party's so-called better deal, if you're a woman, you're really not going to be getting a better deal. In fact, you're going to be getting a shittier deal. And you heard me right. The party that claims to care about women, who always talks about equal pay, well, they're choosing to abandon a core issue of the party because they have opened the door for another rightward shift, but this time on the issue of abortion. So The Hill reports that Democrats will not withhold financial support for candidates who oppose abortion rights, the chairman of the party's campaign arm in the House said in an interview with The Hill. There is not a litmus test for Democratic candidates, said Luan, Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee chairman. As we look at candidates across the country, you need to make sure you have candidates that fit the district, that can win these districts across America. So by saying that we need candidates that can better fit these districts, what they're really saying is that, we're going to allow our candidates to move as far to the right as they need to win. And this doesn't just mean that they're going to be moving to the right on abortion with respect to certain red districts, but on other issues as well. So, I mean, the Democratic Party, they have no idea why they keep losing, but they have no ideological consistency whatsoever. Yeah, they're trying to get us to believe that they're in favor of this mediocre New Deal and that 100% of Democrats are on board with it. How can we believe that you're on board with anything when you guys run candidates from the left to the center right? I mean, what does the party stand for? It's a problem that has plagued the party now for decades, and they don't have an answer for you. But this interview, getting back to the interview and the substance of it, it took a more hilarious turn when Nancy Pelosi was asked about the criticism that she's received from fellow Democrats.
There were 4 special House elections this spring in which there were Republican seats that were open because they took jobs in the Trump administration. Let me finish. In the Trump administration, and you lost all 4 of them. Some of your own Democratic colleagues in the House say part of the problem is that you and your leadership team are frankly too old. And the question I have is, do Democrats need new leaders with new ideas?
Well, let me just say this. Self-promotion is a terrible thing, but somebody's got to do it.
Exactly.
And I think that in the situation that we are in, I am a master legislator. I know the budget to the nth degree. I know the motivation of people. I respect the people who are in Congress. I think this is a great moment for those of us who understand what is at stake with the Affordable Care Act, what our possibilities are in terms of working together with the Republicans, as has been our experience in the past. So I feel very confident about the support I have in my caucus. I have never not been opposed within my caucus, and it had nothing to do with the 4. Suppose you became president and you were a Democrat, and you appointed your cabinet, one from San Francisco, one from Berkeley, one from Brooklyn, one from Santa Monica. Do you think that the Republicans could have ever won those seats?
Okay.
These seats were not seats.
I've got 30 seconds, and the question is, what are the chances Democrats win back the House in 2018, and if so, will you run for Speaker?
That's so unimportant. What is important is that we have the lively debate on a better deal. Better pay, better jobs, and a better future. And that's what we look forward to having. And we have unity in our party. You saw it with the fight on the Affordable Care Act in the House and in the Senate. We're very proud of the fact that our party has diverse thinking in it. We can accommodate that.
Leader Pelosi, thank you. Thanks for coming in. Please come back.
Thank you. My pleasure. It's nice to be with you. And thank you for being a guardian of our democracy. The press.
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, stop calling yourself a master legislator. Stop doing that. Second of all, you called a Fox News anchor a guardian of democracy. I mean, if you're a liberal, That's a mortal sin. You can't do that. That's a no-no. Fox News is the propaganda arm of the Republican Party, and you're calling him a guardian of democracy. I mean, Jesus Christ, Nancy. And of course, nothing she said here was substantive, and all she could do was pivot back to the shitty slogan that the Democratic Party came up with, ripping off Papa John's, and of course, she fucked it up, kind of. So, the takeaway here is that Nancy Pelosi, she's just a complete lost cause. There's no sense in trying to get her to change her mind, even though she wants you to hold her accountable, or says she does, because Nancy Pelosi doesn't know her asshole from her elbow. She's clueless. She's lost. She has no idea what the party needs to do to actually appeal to voters. So the only way to actually affect change and to stop Nancy Pelosi is to just kick her out of Congress. So if you go to jaffeforcongress.com, you can contribute to a real progressive, and he absolutely has my stamp of approval. I've endorsed Stephen Jaffe, who of course is Nancy Pelosi's challenger in 2018, and I can very confidently say that he would be a phenomenal member of Congress. And when you juxtapose someone like Stephen Jaffe, who's a true progressive who actually wants to fight for the people, against the corporate Democrat, at least on, the issue of Medicare for all, the difference is very clear. So let's recall how Chuck Schumer responded to the idea of Medicare for all.
Well, sure, many things are on the table.
And when Nancy Pelosi was asked about it, this was her response.
A lot of Americans still want to see changes to the healthcare system in America.
Of course.
Do you feel like the move for Democrats now is to make single payer a plank in the 2018 platform?
No, I don't.
Now, here's how Stephen Jaffe responded when I asked him if he would co-sponsor John Conyers' single-payer bill. Before we move on to campaign finance, so just so that way viewers are clear, you would co-sponsor HR 676 if you were elected?
I don't know the numbers. That's John Conyers' bill, I think it is.
Correct, John Conyers'
Yes,
bill.
absolutely.
Excellent,
Yes,
excellent.
my one-word answer is either take your pick, yes or absolutely.
So, I mean, after watching Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer completely botch the question on Medicare for all, and seeing how Stephen Jaffe, a real progressive, answers the question, there's no competition. I mean, the choice is clear. You can have someone like Stephen Jaffe who cares about you, or someone like Nancy Pelosi who doesn't give a shit about you. So this better deal that the Democratic Party is offering you, it's not a better deal. It's the same deal that they've been giving you, which is nothing. Crumbs at anything if we're lucky. So, I mean, it's not a better deal. It's the same shit in different packaging. They just want you to believe that the party has changed when they haven't changed, and they're not going to change. The only way to affect change is to kick them out of office, and you could do that by helping the progressive campaigns of their challengers like Stephen Jaffe.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.